Hello everyone. In this topic, we'll discuss about Azure Policy. So what is Azure Policy? Azure Policy is one of the important service which is used for rules enforcement. We can audit the resources if it is compliant or non-compliant as per our organization standards. So where we will be able to apply this policy? We can apply the policy at management group level. So we will be able to apply the policy at management group, subscription, resource group, and also at the resource level. So what does this particular policy contains? This particular policy will contain rules. So it can be single rule, it can be multiple rules. And you can create the policy and enable the policy. When you enable the policy, you can enable the policy as an individual policy or group of related policies. So when you enable group of related policy, that particular policy will be called as initiatives. So initiatives are nothing but the group of relative policies. The policy is a JSON template. So the policy is a JSON template. Say if I wanted to define a policy saying that if I am going to create a resource group, I have to create the resource group only in Central India, West India, and South India. So this is my policy. So this is my policy for the resource group creation. If I wanted to enforce this particular policy, I'll be able to enforce this policy at the management group level, subscription level. And for me, there is no need to enforce this policy at the resource group level because this policy itself, it is for the resource group creation. If I enforce this policy at the management group level or subscription level, if I am going to create any resource group from this subscription or at the management level, I'll be able to choose only Central India, West India, or South India. I'll not be able to select any other region for creating the resource group. So you might be asking, okay, this is fine. This is only one policy. What if I needed multiple policies within the same template? For that, we have something called as initiative. Initiatives are nothing but the group of related policy. Say for example, if I wanted to define something related to storage account, I have the set of policy for the storage account. It will be 30, 35. So all these policies are combined together and we will be able to enforce at management group, subscription or resource group level. Because under the resource group, you will be creating the storage account. So we will be able to enforce this particular policy, whichever we are going to define as an initiative. We will take all the 35 policies and we will enforce all the 35 policy which has rules, and we will apply that rule to the resource group. So if I wanted to enforce this particular policy for the storage account, I can actually mandate the policy saying that GRS should be enabled whenever you create the storage account and HTTPS protocol should be used and HTTP will be disabled and maximum blob size will be 4 TB or something like this. Once you define the policy and whenever you try to create the storage account, if you try to enable HTTP protocol and if you are not using the HTTPS protocol, then you will not be able to create the storage account. So once you apply this policy at any of this level, management group, subscription, or at the resource group, once it is enforced, then this policy comes into effect. So you might be asking a question, okay, I have an existing storage account 1, and this particular storage account has HTTP protocol opened. So you say that HTTP is disabled. Whenever I create a storage account, if HTTP is opened, then it is not going to create. So what if I have an existing storage account which has HTTP protocol opened? In this particular case, this applies the policy when you enforce, this applies only to the new storage account. It will not apply to the existing storage account. So this existing storage account which has HTTP protocol opened, which is unsecure protocol, then it will be treated as non-compliant. Okay. So this is how you will get a report saying that this storage account is non-compliant in the Azure policy. There are multiple built-in initiatives which are available inside Azure policy. We'll be able to choose these initiatives specific to our services, and we will be able to enforce those initiatives. The policy is going to evaluate your resources which you have deployed in your environment, and if it is non-compliant, it is going to report in the Azure policy compliance section. Azure policy can also prevent non-compliant resources from being created. So let us say I have the virtual machine, and for this virtual machine or any of the virtual machine which has been created inside resource group, this resource group is called as production resource group. And any virtual machine, there can be multiple, there can be hundreds or thousands of virtual machine which is being created inside this resource group. If I define a policy saying that only Windows 2016, Windows 2019 and data center server edition has to be deployed. So you define the operating system inside the policy, and once you apply this particular policy to the resource group, whatever virtual machine you are going to create, if any of these operating system is not there when you select, then it is not going to create those virtual machines. Because I wanted to avoid some of the operating system versions because there is some vulnerability, right? Or it is outdated. Because of which I am not encouraging to use those operating system versions in my environment, which is in the production environment. I can have a different policy set at development resource group saying that I am okay to use Windows 2012, Windows 2016, and Windows 2019 server edition. Azure policy comes with built-in policy and initiative definitions. There are multiple built-in initiatives. Initiative is nothing but group of policy itself. So there are multiple initiatives which are available inside the Azure policy for multiple services like storage service, networking service, compute, security center, and even for the monitoring. For example, if you define a policy saying that only a particular size of the virtual machine to be used in your environment, when that particular policy is invoked, and when you are going to create a new virtual machine or when you are trying to resize an existing virtual machine, then the policy will be applied. In some cases, we can use Azure policy to automatically remediate non-compliant resources. I have the liberty for not to remediate in case if it is non-compliant. So I can allow or disallow the non-compliant resources to be remediated. So in this particular example, we can see that any of the resources what you are going to create in a resource group has to be tagged with the app name tag, and the value of the tag should be special orders. If this tag is missing, then the policy is going to apply that tag with the app name and value with special orders. Azure policy also integrate with DevOps for continuous integration and delivery pipeline to the pre-deployment and post-deployment phases of your application. So what are Azure policy initiatives? Let us say, as I said, this particular policy is JSON template. I have this JSON template and this is an individual policy, and this particular policy is for monitor unencrypted SQL database in security center. So this is one of the policy, and there is another policy which says monitor operating system vulnerability in security center. Then we have another policy here, and we also have another policy, monitor missing endpoint protection in security center. So this is another policy. And when you combine these three policies together, you will be able to enforce this particular policy at different hierarchy, at the management group level, at the subscription, or at the resource group level. When you are combining multiple policy as one policy, then it will be called as initiatives. So basically, initiative is nothing but group of policies. There are multiple policies involved. So in this particular case, there are three individual policies which has been combined as one initiative, and this particular initiative you are going to enforce at management group, subscription, or at the resource group level. So this was an overview about Azure policy. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please subscribe and share the video. Thank you and take care.